Long time no see, guys. Who would have thought the thing that would bring me out of retirement and start this channel up sooner than I was actually planning would be the passing away of Anne Rice. Needless to say, I and the rest of the community were really shocked and saddened to hear the news of the passing of Anne Rice. I listened to an interview with Christopher, her son, on a Canadian radio station, and he described it best that is a tragic thing because you know it's going to happen one day, but you just never see it happening to her. She's been with us literally all of my life since she started, and I was born in the 80s, so my world has known Anne Rice, and it's an empty void when someone that prolific in my life passes away. As you can see behind me, Anne was an author I greatly admired. I got into Anne Rice back when Interview with the Vampire, the film, came out. My mother was wild about the movie, so I had to check it out. So I watched it, and even as a little kid, I was probably 11, 12 years old at the time, I fell in love with the story, the characters, and everything about it. But I grew up, went to school, and had no interest in reading. I had no interest in books. Books were something that would put me to sleep after one chapter. I would try. They were like, oh, you need to check this out, you need to check that out. I'd go see a movie, and I would try to read the book and the novelization of it, or the book that it was based on, and I couldn't do it. So I don't remember what it was that inspired me to actually read again, but I think it was because I happened to pick up the movie Interview with the Vampire, and I watched it again. And I was so enthralled with the film again that I was like, you know what, let me check this series out. And so I read Interview with the Vampire, and I was hooked. An amazing feat to me because there was no book that could ever capture my interest or made me want to know what happened on the next chapter. So I read Interview with the Vampire. I was like, wow. And then I read The Vampire Lestat. Wow. Then I read The Queen of the Damned, and it kept on going. I had to get the next book. And as you can see behind me, I became a fan. No other author has touched me the way that this one did, to where I literally have collected her entire written work. So that speaks a lot of volumes for a kid that had no interest in ever reading, to own a book collection of an author's entire library. Speaks a lot of volumes. No, not every story I was a huge fan of, but there was always something, there's always a character that was, it's something you were able to really connect to. And her fans felt the same way, that the author understood what it was like. Whether you were different or just something that made you stand out of the crowd when everyone else seemed to fit in. There were characters in her books that had those same issues and those same problems. And reading that, that made the characters just really relatable. So to live in a world without a hero that you have known since birth, that they, like I said, ever since I've been born, there was an Anne Rice. It's sad, and it's like a piece of the world is missing. But as you see behind me, her world is going to live on. The characters she created, the fiction she has written, her memoirs, her life story will continue on and touch other people and kids and adults that have no interest in reading, that they'll pick up a book and go, maybe reading's not that bad after all. And then they'll start a collection and carry it on.